Imagine a country that is rich in oil, culture, and people standing on the edge of collapse. Over 250 ethnic groups, each with their own language, religion, and identity, almost tore themselves apart. This was Nigeria in 1967, a nation that came dangerously close to, breaking apart. And the decision made then still echo in our lives today. Stay with us as we uncover the story, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to learn more about the history that shapes Nigeria today. As you all know, Nigeria gained independence in 1960, October 1st, 1960. But beneath the celebration of freedom, tensions simmered. Colonial policies that left the country divided along ethnic lines. The north dominated by the Hausa Fulani, while the west by the Yoruba, and the east by the Igbo. So, politics became an ethnic battlefield, and corruption, favoritism, and neglect of citizens fueled growing resentment. Ordinary Nigerians then felt unsafe, marginalized, and unheard. So by 1966, the country was on a fragile edge. On the night of January 15, 1966, a group of young army officers, mainly from the eastern and western regions, attempted a coup to save Nigeria. And the most notable among them was Major Chukwuemeka Odumegwu alongside Lieutenant Victor Banjo, again another person, Timothy, and others. Their target was the politicians. They accused them of corruption, inefficiency, and betrayal of the people. So in Kaduna and Lagos, key leaders including our Prime Minister then, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Northern Premier then, Sir Ahmadu Bello, and Western Premier, Sir Samuel Akintola, they were killed. The coup was partially successful, but was poorly executed, because most of the coup plotters were Igbo, and many victims were Northern leaders. So Northerners believed the coup was an ethnic plot to dominate the country. Retaliation followed quickly. Thousands of Igbos and Easternians were massacred. Even some of them were forced to, flee the north. Fear and distrust spread across the nation, setting the stage for Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, who was the military governor of the eastern region then, to declare the Republic of Biafra in 1967. Are you enjoying my story? The Nigerian government responded with military force, and thus began the Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafra War, which lasted from July 6, 1967 to January 15, 1970. Exactly 3 years. 3 good years. The Nigerian Federal Army, led by General Yakubu Gowon, Murtala Mohammed, and Olusegun Obasanjo, they planned to cut off Biafra's resources during the war, especially food and oil. Their strategy was a mix of conventional battles and blockades, aimed at forcing the eastern region to surrender without total destruction. When you are feeling hungry. So Biafra, under Ojukwu's leadership, They fought fiercely despite being outnumbered and poorly supplied. Key battles took place in towns like Nsukka, Owerri, Enugu, Onitsha, and Aba. Ojukwu employed guerrilla tactics, fortified key cities and relied heavily on international sympathy and aid to sustain the Biafran population. So for civilians, the war was a nightmare. Blockades caused severe famine. An image of starving children shocked the world. Over 1 million people died from hunger and disease alone, making it one of the deadliest humanitarian crises of the 20th century, despite Biafra's determination. The Federal Army gradually advanced by late 1969. Federal forces had captured major cities, cutting Biafra into isolated pockets. Ojukwu refused to surrender initially, believing that continuing resistance could, negotiate better terms for his people. But in January 1970, recognizing that continued fighting would only lead to more civilian deaths, Ojukwu had to flee to Ivory Coast, where he went into exile. Biafra formally surrendered on January 15, 1970, exactly 4 years after the first coup that had sparked the conflict. Remember the coup? After the war, Ojukwu lived in exile for many years before returning to Nigeria in 1980, reintegrating into political life, but never regaining the prominence he once had in national governance. The war's outcome cemented the federal government's dominance, but it left long-lasting scars. Millions of lives were lost, the Eastern economy destroyed. Not only the economy, infrastructure were ruined, and the trust between ethnic groups were severely damaged. One political consequence that persists to these days is the Eastern region's difficulty in attaining the presidency. If you notice, since the end of the war, no Nigerian president has come from the Eastern region. If you notice that, analysts they attribute this partly to lingering ethnic distrust, political realignment, and the perception that the East 1967 to 1970 attempt at secession make the region a less favored choice in federal power rotation. The Biafran War reshaped Nigeria's political landscape permanently, reinforcing military influence in politics for decades and affecting ethnic power balance. The lessons of 1967 to 1970 are profound. Leadership matters, fear and exclusion can push a nation to the brink, and inclusion is essential for survival. Nigeria survived, but the story reminds us that political power, ethnic harmony, and national unity, they are fragile. Every citizen today inherits the lessons of that era. Lessons about what? Dialogue, fairness, and consequence of division. Are you enjoying my story? If you want to understand more about how history shapes modern Nigeria, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Engage with this story so that more people can learn from it, and together we can reflect on the past to shape a better future. Nigeria's near breakup in 1967, the brutal 3-year civil war and its aftermath are not just an history, they are a living lesson. They remind us that in a country of many voices, unity must be actively chosen, and inclusion must guide leadership. Only then can a nation withstand the pressure that once nearly tore it apart. If you enjoy my story, please like, comment, and share. Thank you very much.